Carbon sinks. There are systems on Earth that absorb more carbon than emitting. As we emit more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, we are more and more reliant on carbon sinks to regulate the amount of atmospheric carbon and global warming. So yeah, very important. But what if I say that our carbon sinks are failing? There are three main types of natural carbon sinks. Forests are a type of carbon sink, as trees and vegetation absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, storing carbon in the biomass of the tree. So the trunks, the leaves, the roots. The Amazon rainforest is an example of this, as a study in 2014 calculated that the Amazon absorbs around 2 billion metric tons per year of carbon dioxide, while emitting 1.7 billion metric tons. Oceans absorb carbon through two ways. The first is that oceans dissolve atmospheric carbon into the surface water, which actually forms something called carbonic acid that leads to ocean acidity. And this is the reason why coral reefs are dead. The other way of absorbing atmospheric carbon is through photosynthesis of marine organisms like phytoplankton and seaweed. Lastly, Earth's soil is a type of carbon sink as it retains a large amount of carbon that was absorbed by the roots of the plants. Certain types of soils like peatlands, wetlands, and permafrost that decompose organic matter slower are able to retain more atmospheric carbon, or in permafrost's case, won't decompose at all because of the cold temperature. Now let's get back to my earlier point. What on earth do you mean our carbon sinks are failing? Like, that's literally their job. I know. One doesn't decide to stop photosynthesizing one day. But carbon sinks are related to systems, and these systems are taking in less carbon, and the gap between absorption and emission is getting smaller and smaller. For example, deforestation and forest fires emit carbon stores in trees back into the atmosphere, resulting in a net increase rather than a net decrease. Another example would be through oceans warming, which reduces the capacity to take in carbon while accelerating carbon dioxide emissions. Can we blame it on climate change? Probably yeah. It is because of climate change that our natural sinks are weakening. But not all is lost. We did invent technological carbon sinks like carbon capture, but that's been really difficult to establish and implement. And with the 29th Annual Conference of Parties underway, maybe we are going to move forward in planting more trees, afforestation, and reducing unnecessary emissions. Maybe that gives us an idea of what we can do. Or not. But we know one thing's for certain, is that if we're all united in working towards a better future for our environment, we can do anything. Yeah, so I read this Guardian article about carbon sink collapse about a month ago. And for some reason, I've shelved this idea for like a really long time. It is an interesting read, so I'll link it in the description. I remember this being like such a sobering thought. How much of the impact is really just because of humans, and how the climate science's predictions were actually way more optimistic than how things actually are. But regardless, I have hope. Maybe it's childish, especially with the recent election in the US. But yeah, I'm hopeful. And I'm also hoping COP this year will lead to something good. I know I say this like every single year, or at least I think that every single year that, we've got COP, so it'll do good. But yeah, this hope, I think, is really what's keeping me going. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what I'll do without this hope. Hope you learned something new, and if you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Peace!